them, pry them, and them.
We feel compelled to make an introduction to this It Takes a Village section of MnT.
Today, look into it. Children'schat.net. Can't find any references to it on any online encyclopedia. Allegedly, it is shared amongst extremely popular on the deep web. I don't doubt it. The site itself. Launched in 2002. 18 years this went on. Oh, no. We're gonna do something about that.
Not having any online reference site data may or may not be considered a bit odd for these technological times. Two well-known and trend-setting websites usually change their site name, and not give mention to the former name. And we are doing further research, but toward the middle of 2020 someone reported
The ads.
that the advertisements that were seemingly regularly attached to this site were disturbing. Let's take a look at some hard evidence and form some questions. We find many aspects quite unprofessional, passively aggressive, inappropriate, and revealing about the alleged administrator of this website's conduct. Now, because of current capacity and presentation issues, may we have you to read along with the highlighted text to help make sense of the vastly concise comments we have within this segment. Certainly we shall have follow-ups on such topics, in media and mainly in actions around the times we have voices and ever more from there on. Now, here on this site, they say no pay a rather strange way. But okay. Take a look at how they respond to people who merely mention moderators, who are those tasked with sort of protecting honest users.
The grammatical errors on an 18-year-old website alone would have been sus enough, but I can't help but wonder why they decided a hipster with a full beard, a faceless businessman, a middle-aged librarian, and a Super Saiyan school shooter with a trench coat was a sensible design decision for a children's chat room website.
It's sickening, dude. Concept, it allows kids to contact people from all over the world. The issue comes when people who are definitely older than who should be using the site start getting access to it. So even just talking about how there are pedos on the site will get you banned. Like today, I was talking, I've gone through 2 accounts about how, they're kind of, the 2 of my accounts got banned because I was in the public chat saying, hey, there are pedos on the site, what the fuck are they doing? Why are they, like, I'm talking about the staff of the website, not doing anything?
Are they just as surprised as we are about how utterly ridiculous this indirect communication concept is? I first encourage you to send screenshots and then discourage you from sending screenshots. Their reason for not accepting evidence by way of screenshots in an email is appalling and revealing. Does the email inbox serve as the homepage of the website or something?
I almost give up. Just kidding, I never even get close to giving up.
Here is what the so-called administrator has to say about safety. If this is true, is this a fabrication? Contradictions reveal the fact that there is a lie present. And again, contradictions reveal the fact that there is a lie present. Before this video gets a whole lot longer, please slow down to think as we speed through this segment for limitations reasons in our case, of course. Now, while searching for an physical address to a place that would at least represent the work, which is the management of a high-capacity website, there is careless and explicit sort of language allowed but really produced anyhow in the correspondence with this site. When said correspondence tries to defend them, the site in whatever way, whereas we believe if we said, there is some suspicious explicit going on here, it would likely be banned. The only real email is any email that fits the definition of email. Most every one of these things are rather off-putting, and please understand that these are perhaps the furthest thing from adequate to express what you are feeling. Many words and a mutual understanding only start to convey a feeling. Each and every profile icon that we've seen is quite disturbing, with only one that even sort of seems to depict some sanity. Please understand, in this information/technology age, as our producer calls it, an otherwise highly technological age, there pretty much, and we believe literally, is no thing as data that is truly discarded or erased, that is, while systems responsible for said data is still functional. Come on now, they have phones reading and telling when we move an inch, so trying to say that the core content of a site is somehow present one second and non-existent the next is, let's just say, ridiculous. And if they try to rely on some irrational laws to explain not keeping logs, why is there not a third party set to keep logs? Just a quick side note, there is much more to explain and or explore with nearly each point we bring up. Can't wait until we evolve into real voice TAF and other resources. Let's make some clear points followed by dive immensely deep, starting with the subject matter of this video is vastly deep on its own. Come on. Tracking someone is indeed gathering personal information about that someone. We can't believe how much double talk is present on which is aimed at our young. Speaking of double, they appear to have two that we know of sites with essentially the same target market, and yet one is both named and promoted to reach a special group, that special group being our very young, on a very young, pre-adult, then adult scale. They say nothing to identify you personally and then boast about real emails, which is a silly way to say the email that include vital information that identifies you from all others in a very personal way. Plus, the more we think of it, since when had emails themselves been something for our very you? And even young to even have for personally enrolling into some congregation. This is to give plenty credit to the adaptation to a massive and lasting technology, and our producer agrees / information wave we have. We are trying hard to make this segment concise. Let's get down deep. Now, what up running and profit-making company do you know of that does not disclose to you a street address or key personnel name? And let's just say this plain, this unsightly site tells us nothing about who, what, where, or YT. Here, we care because our young are, somehow, their consumers. And speaking of nothing, perhaps the most disturbing of all of the profile icons is the one that the so-called administrator of this site had chose to mock us with, which is a symbol of telling us nothing about the true intentions of this obscene domain address. And speaking of obscene and disturbing, look at the arrogance and obscene nature of some other sites similar to and likely related to the main subject of this segment. They have some sinister nerves to try to combine all these age groups into certain, which is most any arena with no logical common ground. And before we even began to expound on the mere concept of establishing and maintaining, need we even add openly, such a platform that more that just invite our young to being readily exposed to known probabilities of strange, we are going to sort of hit the brakes here anyway. And in this particular case, we are going to now hit the brakes in an emergency change of direction type of,
Why in Jesus Christ's name
would they say, print, promote, do this right here. Let's wind down, to take a moment to rationalize our realities. And this time, since you likely have not seen the introduction to this, it takes a village section of M2 News Tough. And with that sort of inclusion, we want to be a contributor who reaches optimal solutions with you, and not against you. Considering the notion that you get what you give, and the fact, let's just discuss, and humbly we insist we just simply answer to certain questions and of course, answer to even the toughest of problems. M2 News Tough. Stay curious, know enough. Love.